This is Candidate Conversations on the WIDU Radio Network. I'm your host, Jay Reinstein, and today I have with me Sherry Miller running for District Court Judge, Seat 3, District
14.
14. Thank you. So thank you for coming here today. I'm glad you could be here. Tell our listeners a little bit about your background and motivation. So what's your professional and personal background, and how does it prepare you to serve as a county judge, and why are you seeking a seat on the court now?
Okay, so I'm a Fayetteville native. My dad was in the military, and he came to North Carolina, Cumberland County in 1971, and he decided he's going to stay and retire and raise his family. So I went to 71st Elementary, I went to Lewis Chapel High School, I went to 71st High School. So this has pretty much been my home. And the only time I left was to go to college. I went to UNC Chapel Hill and got my journalism degree.
Great school.
And then after that, I went to North Carolina Central University School of Law, where I got my Juris Doctorate.
Excellent.
And then as far as my legal career, my first job was at the Public Defender's Office with Paul Herzog, which was a great learning experience, but it's trial by fire. Basically, you're a baby attorney, and they throw you out there, and you're doing anything from DUIs to felony cases, and you learn as you go.
Right.
And so I worked at the Public Defender's Office for about 3 years, and then I went into private practice with Alan Rogers. Yeah. And what was great about being at the Rogers firm is he opened me to so many different types of cases. I mean, we were doing personal injury, medical malpractice, estates, and family law, as well as criminal. And that's when I started doing family law. So I've been doing family law for about 27 years.
Oh, wow.
And then in 2004, I decided to branch out on my own. So it was me, Joe Klaus, and this young attorney named Tony King. We set up a law firm together. And Tony went on to do great things. She's now a district court judge. Yeah. And Joe has retired, so it's just me. And I've been continuing with the family law practice. And I think the question is, why do you think that I'm fit for this position or
Correct.
Whatever? Well,
yeah.
One thing I want to let the listeners know is family law is one of the most complicated areas of law. I mean, it's very complex. Lots of different changes in laws because the dynamics in our families have changed.
Yeah.
You know, we have same-sex marriages, we have children who are now being brought up in blended families, and we have grandparents and extended family members taking care of children. So it's not the traditional, mom, pop, and white picket fence. It's very different. But not to gloss over that, you have to know the procedural aspects of a custody case because there are deadlines and there are things that need to be done properly.
Got it.
And when you don't do it properly, you end up with an invalid or a questionable result. But not only that, even if you cross your T's and dots your I and do everything right, you want to make sure that you know what you're presenting to the court. You want to make sure that the law that you're arguing makes sense to the case at hand. Because one of the few things that I've seen attorneys who know the law, but they're not applying it correctly to the facts of their case. They're trying to force a square into a circle, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And having that experience and knowing not to fit a circle into a square, I think makes me the best possible candidate to be a district court judge. Now, family law is my focus, even though I am familiar with other areas of law.
Right.
But the reason why I'm putting myself out to the public is at least 5 years in a row. Every judge that has retired has been a family court judge.
Interesting.
And we don't always get a family lawyer replacing that person.
Got it.
So we have a judge that's learning as they're getting experienced in the field. So we have that dilemma for the past 5 years. And then the situation now with Judge Hasty. He is a family court judge, and he's retiring.
Got it.
And he is going to leave a void that needs to be filled. I have a chief resident district court judge, Tony King, who's running 2 weeks of family court every month when most judges only run one.
Wow.
So there is a need, and I want this community to understand there is a need. And you need someone who is competent.
Yeah.
And you want someone that's going to work for you, work for this community, listen to what you have to say, and be able to make those tough decisions instead of going, oh, I may need to think, ask someone how I should rule.
Right.
So,
right.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the reason why I'm putting myself out there. On a personal note, I'm married. My husband, Casey Dobson, he's a physician. And I have a son. He just turned 22, and he is at UNC Greensboro.
Great.
Majoring in biology. So hopefully, he'll be out soon and going on.
Maybe a future doctor?
Maybe. So we shall see.
Okay, great. That was excellent. Again, we're talking to Sherry Miller, running for District Court Judge, Seat 3, District 14.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Wow. I did that right up here. How would you describe your judicial philosophy, and how does it guide your decision-making on the bench, or how will it guide your decision-making on the bench?
Well, I think fairness, and everyone's going to say this, but fairness is extremely important. And I don't care if you have a case that's only worth $500 or a case that's worth $5 million. I am going to look at that estate, and I'm going to apply the law the same way I would for a low value marital estate versus a high value. And then I also want people to understand, because of the economy and because of the limited resources, a lot of people are now representing themselves, which is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And they cannot afford private counsel to represent them. So they file pleadings that are inappropriate. And as a judge, I cannot advise them.
Right.
But at least I can tell them, look, this is a complicated area of law. I have to treat you as if you are an attorney.
Right.
And I have to make sure that you follow the rules just like everybody else.
Interesting.
And I will give them an opportunity to explain themselves. But, I think listening to them, being fair, and just letting them know that they are important when they're in my courtroom, that is my philosophy.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, judges must maintain impartiality, even in high-profile or emotional cases. How do you ensure fairness? And you talked about that right now for every person who appears in the courtroom. And I think you sort of hit on that, but if you want to expound it all, that would be great.
So, as far as being impartial, I have prided myself in being my own person. I am not trying to project an image to this community that I'm one way or the other. And I think my clients and my colleagues all know that I have a reputation of sincerity, and I have a reputation of being a diligent and hard worker. So as far as impartiality, I don't think anyone will come into my courtroom thinking that they got the upper hand or that they're at a disadvantage because of whatever status I have in the community.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Again, talking to Sherry Miller, running for Cumberland County District Court, District 14, Seat 3. Cumberland County courts handle heavy caseloads, and I think a lot of the courts do. What steps would you take to improve efficiency while ensuring that everyone still receives due process?
So one of the advantages I have of running a business all these years is my organizational skills. And I will have to work really closely with the clerk, the ladies that work in the judge's office, because communication is key. When you are scheduling cases and we do things by time slots. So when you're scheduling cases and you're saying, okay, my case is going to take 5 hours, so we dedicate 5 hours to a case, and then you end up settling the night before. We got 5 free hours. So I would work diligently with the staff to see if there's a way that we can make sure that in the event something like this does happen, that there's a case that's up there or if there's some emergency, or if there's other courtrooms that have overflow, bring it into my courtroom.
Right.
It's not for me to just take the rest of the day off. It's not fair. So yeah, that's how I would do
think
it.
taxpayers would like to hear that. Judges are elected but must remain independent. How do you stay accountable to the public while avoiding political influence in your rulings? That's real important.
So, fortunately, when you're in the courtroom, you're dealing with individuals and their individual cases. Usually their politics, their religion, their personal preferences are not necessarily the highlight of the case, especially in family law when we're fighting over custody. I'm looking at, okay, is this child being taken care of? Is this child being abused? It doesn't matter if a child is being raised in a liberal household or conservative. That has nothing to do with what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to determine. I am looking at what the specific facts are in front of me.
In this, I'm just curious, in this very divided country right now, how difficult is that to do?
That's one thing I've learned about this.
Yeah.
It's universal. Divorce, marriage, children, paying bills. It's not a one-party issue or another party issue.
Right.
It's everybody. And I think everybody just wants a judge that's going to say, hey, just because I may feel a certain way personally, I can set that aside. And I will look at, and I have to do that because as an attorney, I can have one client who comes in on one position, and then I have another client that has on an opposite position. So I have to be able to switch hats.
Yeah.
And that has helped me to kind of see everything from the other perspective instead of just one.
Thank you. So finally, why should citizens vote for Sherry Miller on March 3rd primary for District Court Judge, District 14, Seat 3?
Because families...
I'm memorizing that now. That's in my head.
Well, because families matter to me. That's my slogan, families matter. And it is difficult when you are in a family court setting and emotions are high. And people are feeling victimized and when I say victimized, some parents may feel like, I have to pay all the bills, but I can't see my child.
Right.
And the other parent's like, well, you can see your child, but you don't pay anything. That's how those courtrooms run. These are highly emotional cases.
Yeah.
And if you want a competent judge that's going to sit there and say, look, I hear what you're saying. I'm going to give you a rational basis for why I'm coming to my decision. It's not just something I pluck out of thin air.
Right.
It's something that was contemplated, apply the law, and I came to a decision.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe this community should vote for me.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sherry Miller. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and good luck in the process.
Well, thank you.
Great. And you've been listening to Candidate Conversations on the WIDU Radio Network. Until